When you go to the grocery, what you're seeing on a label, it's 98% marketing. It's their billboard. They're trying to tell you what's not inside. The ingredient list is from top to bottom. It's tiny. Then I started realizing I can't even pronounce these ingredients.
Even if you don't understand how to read a label, I'm going to read the ingredients in this, see if I could find these ingredients in the store and build this on my own.
If you don't recognize an ingredient, neither does your body. These preservatives and these additives that have made the food look better, taste better, extended shelf life, and ultimately it's leading to inflammation.
It's being engineered chemically to stimulate our dopamine and to avoid satiety. So our kids love it.
Yeah, I tell parents that kids don't need a lecture of how to eat clean. They just need tasty food. That's all they need.
I also think that kids are tough because it's not about the goals that you have for them. It's about the habits you can get them to adopt.
Kids will never listen to what you say, but they never fail to repeat what you do. So it has to start with the parent.
As a mom, I'm sure your first concern is your kids. Kids particularly are the target of a lot of convenience packaging.
It's a marketing ploy.
So where does a mom start?
I almost want to cry when I think of this, but I feel like the lost art in most people's lives is the art of
Hey guys, welcome back to the Ultimate Human Podcast. I'm your host, human biologist Gary Brecka, where we go down the road of everything anti-aging, biohacking, longevity, and everything in between. And as you can tell from the smile on my face, because the whole team was cracking up before I started this intro, we have a very special guest on the podcast today, and she is going to make you smile. Her name is Jen Smiley. And what a journey you've had and what an impact you've made, Jen. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. For everyone listening that follows Gary, you're probably operating at a pretty high level already, right?
Mhm.
These people are doing cold plunges before sunrise.
Oh, yeah.
They're drinking hydrogen water like it's champagne.
I love that.
Yes. So they are on their way already to the ultimate human, but maybe they don't know about food labels. Maybe food is this missing piece that can help their biohacking work better, number one. Number two, let's be real. They have a family member or they have a friend that is eating frozen pizzas still, or they're thinking diet sodas and granola bars are health foods. This is going to be that secret weapon they can send to those people and say, hey, look, if you start making these just simple food swaps, there's no overwhelming science that we're going to discuss. And there is no intimidating protocols. Okay. This is just simple food swaps that can help them feel good, quick, get fast results.
My audience likes the intimidating protocols. They like the pain.
They
No,
like the
I'm just
pain.
kidding.
Yeah. No, but this when someone feels the effects of just swapping out these foods, not changing their habits, just swapping, they're going to feel the effects quick. And then you got somebody that is their first step to on their way to being an ultimate human.
I love it. You know, you had a really interesting journey of your own. And there is a bit of a common theme that runs through a lot of my podcasts, and I talk about it all the time. I feel like a lot of the most impactful people, that the most purpose-driven, the most impactful, the most passionate are ones that solve the problem in their own life.
Yeah.
And in solving that problem and creating that solution, they became this massive force in the industry, which you become. Yours is around food, but your journey with food wasn't always a pleasant one. I mean, I know that you had a lot of symptoms at one time that you were grappling with: bloating and weight gain, water retention. I wrote a lot of them down from looking at some of your other podcasts: skin issues, stubborn weight gain. And you really look to food as the solution, and you solved this problem for yourself. Now you're solving it for millions of other people. And I love your practical approach. I love your the scanner that you've got. We're going to link that in the show notes. We actually scanned some things in the house here, which was
clean and
awesome.
not clean.
Yeah, clean and not clean. So talk a little bit about your journey, to becoming, the Jen Smiley wake up and read the labels founder.
Yeah. So it started off, I'm a newlywed, I'm in my mid 20s. I'm getting diagnosed with asthma. I'm like sitting in the doctor's office looking around going, wait, I'm 25. Why am I getting these tests done? Why is everybody else in this room young? Like, what is happening? This can't be the way. What do? They prescribe you inhalers. My husband's dealing with acid reflux on a prescription as well. But I have to credit it to him. He is like the ultimate human. He's the biohacker in the family. He's always been into this stuff. And he is a marathon runner and he wanted his time to get better. So he starts reading blogs and he's like, Jen, can you start cooking? Can you try vegetarian? Can you try gluten-free? So I start trying all these things, thinking he's crazy.
Mhm.
And we feel a little different. Like one day we ate, I think it was cassava pasta. And we woke up and we're like, wow, we can like button our jeans without belly hanging over,
Right.
right? Our stomach felt flat for the first time ever. So that made me wake up, and I call it wake up because I was on this wake up mission where I'd wake up every day and I'd go to the grocery just to figure out how can I find foods made with simple ingredients, okay?
Mm.
And I did work out. I would go to my local gym, and I used to be the girl in the back of the workout class, reaching for their inhaler. My sports bra is only hanging on by one hook. I have one pair of stretchy pants in my closet that fits. I'm constantly putting on makeup in the morning to, cover all these blemishes. But again, I'm 20 something. Well, it dawned on me. I was reading like Premier Protein drink,
Ah,
right? After my workout. And you can read it has, like 30 grams of protein, 0 grams of sugar, all these selling tactics. It's
yeah.
telling you,
We talked about in the kitchen beforehand how like
yes,
they they've woken up to the fact that most people will look at that section of the label
oh
and
yeah, it's
and
it's a
so if they
billboard.
can kind of get it to look okay, proteins, fats, carbohydrates, if they can get no added sugar or 1 or 2 grams of added
Yeah,
sugar, and it so if that section looks good,
yeah.
people don't jump over to the
Yeah.
ingredient list
You gotta think
and
about
see.
this. What sells better is 99% fat free. What if that same product said 1% fat? What would you be drawn to get, right? You get the
Mm,
99% free. So I'm reading it, and then there's a longer walk home from my workout, and I flip it over and I think, oh my gosh, the ingredient list is from top to bottom. It's tiny. You need like a magnifying glass to see what the heck it is. Then I started realizing I can't even pronounce these ingredients.
yes.
Literally. So my heart drops down to the floor. I feel like gray clouds come over me. I run home and I immediately open up my pantry and my refrigerator, and I discover di-potassium phosphate is in my creamers. I discover that all these same ingredients are in my salad dressings, they're in my condiments, they're in my bread, they're in everything. So I'm like,
Mm,
wait a moment, this is not supposed to be. So once we start swapping things out, my dad, he got diagnosed with prostate cancer 6 years ago.
heard the story. Amazing.
And yes, and he came to me, him and my mom, he's getting ready to have robotic surgery at Johns Hopkins. And they're like, Jen, dad has 3 months to get in shape. And the family used to call us freaks. They were like, oh, they got their freak food, right? But we have energy after all the holiday parties and everybody
Right.
else is taking a nap on the couch. And so I was like, Dad, I know this works for me. I don't really know what it's gonna do for you. So I head out to the grocery and I have 8 bags. I'm like, here's your biscuits, here's your marinara sauce, here's your pasta, here's your bread, here's your turkey meat. Like, and when you run out of this, just take a picture, go back to the grocery and grab those things.
And you're prepping him for prostate surgery a couple weeks
Yes,
or
you
months
want to
down the
get your
road. Yeah, 3
inflammation
months,
down
sure.
so that you have better results, less side effects, right? It's better overall. And so in 3 months, he was going get his labs done every 2 weeks. They take a test and they monitor your PSA level, which is your prostate cancer
Mhm.
number. And at a time when he's getting no treatment, it should either be growing, right? Or it should be staying the same. And Gary, every 2 weeks, he'd send me a screenshot from LabCorp and it was actually shrinking.
That's so awesome.
Yes. And
You mean
he's
his PSA is dropping, his prostate
dropping.
specific antigen.
And when
Yeah.
that happened, he calls me and he's like, Jen, maybe I shouldn't get it. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm not a doctor. I'm just a mom. I'm just grocery shopping,
Mhm.
right? We're getting your inflammation down. We're getting you primed up, ready to go, have a successful surgery. He has no side effects. He got out beautifully. But when that happened, I thought, maybe I have a message that could help more people. This isn't just for me.
Right.
So then I got on my Instagram 6 years ago with 200 followers and brought them through the grocery. Here's my turkey sandwich. Here's my ice cream. And within 2 weeks, her name is Carrie. She walks up to me before workout class with a blank check and said, take me grocery shopping. And
Mm.
the rest is history. So within like 3 months, I had, I think, over 100 private clients, just word of mouth because they're sleeping better, their inflammation's
No
going
doubt.
down, their workouts are getting better, right? And
Yeah.
so I was going into kitchens, cleaning pantries out, grocery shopping with them. That developed into group coaching, selling an online course, and now I have an app. It's where we are.
That is so awesome. I mean, and the inspiration from that, stemmed from your own struggle and
Yes.
then watching, you address this issue in your father.
Yeah.
As he said, and I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, having had thousands of patients come through I'm not a physician. I'm not licensed to practice medicine. I'm a human biologist, but in our clinical practice, we had, physicians that would look at these labs and you would see these inflammatory markers that when you get on WebMD and you Google, they lead to really sinister things like
Yeah.
liver failure or cancer, and PSA was one of those that as it spiked, people immediately gravitated towards prostate cancer. And what I've learned is that these rapid spikes are generally not indicative of cancer; they're indicative of something called prostatitis, or infection in the
Mhm.
prostate or inflammation in the prostate. And it's one of those really sensitive organs
Yeah.
to a lot of these things that are in pro-inflammatory compounds that are in our foods. Courtney was here yesterday, and I love what you were saying about the labels in the store, because one of the things she said was, um, even if you don't understand how to read a label, if you say to yourself, okay, I'm going to read the ingredients in this and see if I could find these ingredients in the store
Yeah.
and build this on my own.
Smart.
And
Yeah.
it's like, well, monosodium glutamate. Well, what?
Where are
Don't
you
know
gonna
where I
find that?
get that,
Which aisle is that
Yeah,
on?
where do I get, polysorbate 80? Like,
Right.
where's the polysorbate 80? Is that
Yes.
next to the series? So, and, you came home and there are all these non-interpretable words. Is interpretable a word? Did I just make that up?
You might have. It sounds good enough.
Okay,
Let's call
so
it. If
it's
it's not, we're gonna like Wikipedia and start it up.
non-interpretable.
Interpretable.
Okay, that's
It's a
it.
tongue
Feel free,
twister.
guys, to use that at your leisure.
Yeah.
Um,
That's a
but I
fun
thought it
one.
was a really, interesting way to, instead of having to understand what all of these chemicals and additives and preservatives and thickening agents are, just read it and think if you'd know where to get it in the store. And I thought, wow,
Yeah.
that's a really
I I
interesting
actually
way to look
trademarked
at
if
it.
you don't recognize an ingredient, neither does your body. And I did that a long time ago,
Oh,
right when I
I
came out.
like
But
that.
this is the issue. What I tell people when you read a label, okay? When
Mhm.
you read a label, always go to the bottom first.
All
And
right.
why I say that is because the other ingredients, that's where you're gonna find the preservatives, that's where you're gonna find the additives. That's really like you got your big oils, flours, sweeteners that every label's made up of. But it's
Yeah.
these preservatives and these additives that have made the food look better, made the food taste better, made it extended shelf life, and ultimately it's leading to inflammation.
And we talked about this before the podcast as I do with a lot of my podcast guests, we have a podcast before the podcast.
It's all right,
and,
pre-podcast.
and you know what it is fascinating. You've come to the same conclusion that I have, and so many of my other guests have, is the intentionality of this in the
Mhm.
chemical and the food industry is you can no longer say that there's not a sinister motive behind it or
Yeah.
sinister intention
Yeah.
behind it. Because when you're designing foods to be addictive to ding the dopamine receptor, or you're designing foods to purposely circumvent the release of GLP-1, which is our satiety hormone, or when you're making foods hyper palpable,
Mhm.
palatable, right? That's so that people are becoming addicted
You're
to
eating more.
their favorite foods. It's not just that they like them, they're
Yeah.
becoming addicted to them.
Yeah.
Um, I would love to go down the label road with you a little bit because it sounds like fear mongering, but I think the truth is you're just trying to help people get around the system,
Yeah.
right? And so it's not that you don't have to be afraid. It's
Mhm.
it's it's not that I'm sorry, it's not that you should be afraid. It's just that you need to be educated, right?
Aware. You
And
need to be
aware.
aware of this problem that's
Yeah.
happening.
If you want protein to build lean muscle, but without the caloric impact or need to cut, you need Perfect Amino. It's pure essential amino acids, the building blocks of proteins, in a precise form and ratio that allows for near 100% utilization in building lean muscle and no caloric impact. So we build protein 6 times as much as whey, but without the excess body fat we normally get during bulking. This is the new era of protein supplementation, and it's real. If you want to build lean muscle without having to cut, you need Perfect Amino. Now let's get back to the Ultimate Human podcast. So I want to talk about like GMO and
Yeah.
organic food labeling,
Yeah.
because I've heard you talk about how organic food labeling and genetically modified uh, labels may not be what you think, and there
Correct.
may be a little
Mhm.
something sinister going
Little
on behind the
sneaky.
curtain there.
Yeah.
Sneaky.
Sneaky, sneaky. So, first thing I tell people is when you go to the grocery, what you're seeing on a label, it's 98% marketing. It's their billboard. They're trying to tell
Mm,
you what's not inside. They're like, sugar free, it's dairy free, it's 0 grams of sugar. Would you shop the grocery aisles differently if you
mhm.
saw, 40 plus ingredients and you can't even recognize them? Like, take away all the brands, take away all the colors, cartoons, sports figures. Like, what's actually going to drive your decision now on what to get, right?
Mm,
Another thing is these labels, I like to say they're like a dating app profile.
mm.
They are no substance, they're all charm.
Ah, I
Yeah?
like that.
Okay. Yeah. But let's talk about non-GMO, okay?
You show the profile, and then you show up for the date, and you're like,
Yes.
"That's not what I saw on the label."
Yes. Yeah. Yeah,
Check, please.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. So, yeah, I guess that would be like maybe help lower your cholesterol on oatmeal, something like that. But let's talk about non-GMO. This is sneaky. And what I mean by that is you go and you look for salt, okay? And if you're looking for salt, and let's say you find a $3 salt and it's just like, hey, here's salt. And then you see the same exact salt for $4 and it says non-GMO. What are you gonna do? You're
Yeah,
gonna you're gonna get the non-GMO.
for
But
sure.
I'm here to let you know that salt doesn't have DNA to genetically modify. There's no such thing as GMO
It's a
salt.
mineral, right,
Yes, they're doing that to orange juice. There's no GMO oranges right now, but the
right.
orange juice says non GMO. So it's a way for you to think it's healthier, number
Mhm.
one, and it's a way for you to pay a little bit more money. And it's why you see it everywhere. You want to make sure you're not buying GMO if you're getting like corn, soy, canola, and cotton, right? Or I
Mm.
think there's papaya, there's also beet
Wheat,
sugar. There
soy,
is no wheat. Did you say wheat?
soy.
There's no wheat GMO.
Oh, there's no GMO wheat?
No.
Wow, I
Is
thought
that
there was GMO
crazy?
wheats.
There's no GMO wheat. However,
There's genetically modified
Monsanto
soy.
controls
Yeah.
most of the GMO crops.
Mhm.
And I'm sure they're trying to figure out how to do a GMO wheat. So when you go buy when
Yeah.
you go buy your bread,
Mhm.
there's no GMO bread. Does that
Mm.
make sense?
Yes.
There's no GMO wheat, but there could be. I mean, a lot of them contain soybean oil or they contain corn oil or something like that. Then you got to worry about the GMO label. So you got to know
Right.
when to look for that. Another thing, organic. So there's been studies that show, and I'm here to let you guys know that I'm just a mom. I'm just someone that's reading the labels and has helped thousands of people. I do get quite bored reading studies to tell you the truth, but
Yeah.
anybody listen can go Google, what does di-potassium phosphate do to me? Or what crops are GMO and what does organic mean? Organic means they don't use any synthetic fertilizers or pesticides,
Mhm.
but they could still use some other kind. Or you could have organic farm next to non-organic farm and they're spraying something, it gets over there, right?
Yeah.
Which is why we need to bring up Mala, make
Mhm.
America local again.
Make America local again. Yeah, and we talked about this too. I
Yes.
love that idea, and there is an app, and I'm gonna find it, and I'm gonna link it in the show notes, that helps you find local farmers
Yes.
markets and local, produce and maybe even local farms in
Yeah.
your area. We have one here called, South Florida Ranches, which
Which is
is
great.
amazing, yeah, and they have honeys and maple syrups and cheeses and, raw cheese and raw dairy,
Healing foods.
great, great foods.
Yes.
And, when I travel a lot, and I try to be as conscious as I can. But, you can feel it,
Oh, yeah.
when you travel. It's just like we were talking about going to Italy. You eat a bowl of pasta and a basket of bread here, you blow up like a tick. You
Yeah.
eat a bowl of pasta
Sad.
with some olive oil
Yeah.
and some bread and some balsamic vinaigrette and maybe even some Parmesan cheese in Italy.
Mhm.
You feel amazing. You go
Yeah.
right to sleep. Your
You
head doesn't
wake
hurt.
up,
Your gut
you're
doesn't.
deflated,
Yeah.
feel real good.
Yeah, it's like actual
Yeah.
food. And, our whole ecosystem in our biology works on this lock and key mechanism. It works on, recognizing ingredients, processing them through the cell, and then eliminating the waste.
Mhm.
And, when you have chemicals, additives, preservatives, nitrates, things that our body doesn't recognize,
Right.
it also doesn't know how to eliminate,
Yep.
to eliminate the waste. Um, so as a mom, I'm sure your first concern is your kids, like
Yeah.
most moms, probably all moms. And I think this is where things get really tough because I think kids particularly and mothers and fathers, children particularly, are the target of a lot of convenience packaging.
Mhm.
We're gonna make it super easy. You're already busy enough. So
Yeah.
we're gonna cut these into dinosaurs. So you get a
Yes.
T-Rex and you get a Brontosaurus, right?
Yeah.
And we're gonna cut them into dinosaurs. We're gonna already bread it. We're gonna package it. We're gonna
Yeah.
wrap it in plastic for you. And all you got to do is microwave it. Um, and so I think the combination of most of the unhealthy foods being more convenient,
Mhm.
um, and then also, it's just something that Max Lugavere brought to my attention was that you don't see health claims on really organic foods. Like if you shop the perimeter of the grocery store, there's not like a label on an avocado
I say
that
this
says
all the time.
like
Yeah.
healthy fats and
Yeah.
heart
Or
healthy, but there
or
is on a Wesson oil
yeah, or
bottle.
why don't we have cartoons on the bananas? Or why don't we have sports figures like I eat this before a game? It
Right.
just doesn't exist.
It doesn't
It's
exist.
sad.
So
It's a marketing ploy.
So where does first of all, they can start with your app.
Yeah.
But I mean, where does a mom start that wants
Yeah.
or a father,
Well,
for that matter,
I tell
their kids?
parents that kids don't need a lecture of how to eat clean. They just need tasty food. That's all they need.
Mm,
And I also tell parents that kids will never listen to what you say, but they never fail to repeat what you do. So it
mm,
has to start with the parent.
okay.
Now, you can't, just completely take everything away. I actually have a funny story because this could happen for parents with kids, or it could also happen to people with spouses that may not get on board. So I had this one
Mm.
client, her name was Micheline, and her husband, he's like 65 years old, and he is just adamant on, I'm not eating this new ketchup you're bringing in, and I'm not touching that non dairy milk, right? And so he went to work.
Non-dairy milk.
Yeah. He went to work one day and she got creative and she emptied out his Welch's jelly. She emptied out his Heinz
Oh.
ketchup. Yes, his iodized salt, all these things, and filled it with the clean swaps. And he had no idea that it was different. However, on Saturday morning, he's like waking up with energy, wanting to vacuum the carpet, singing. She's like, wow, this really works. But so for kids, I think you got to find tasty food, waffles, right?
Right.
There's a brand called Belly. It's cassava, it's collagen peptides, it's got coconut sugar, no preservatives. This is going to help your kid not need a snack before lunchtime, number
Mm.
one. And they are going to feel better. It's going to fill them up. They're not going to have that crash. Some other things that work really, really well for kids is like, how do you swap out what they're currently eating? So chips, right?
Mm.
Get them some clean chips. It doesn't have to be like, you have to do it all right now. Can you do one swap a week? And when you do it, I tell them it's got to start with you. So maybe you make the waffles or you make the tacos and get the
Yeah.
chips and then the dip and say, hey, kids, do you want to have a bite? And if they like it, put it on the list and go get that at the grocery.
Yeah.
Again, if you can do 4 swaps a month, what is that? 48 swaps in a year? Something like
Yeah.
that. Did I do that
Sure.
math right? Okay,
You
good.
did. 12 times 4 is 48,
There you
right?
go.
Okay.
Number check.
Yeah. I first of all, I love that. And I also
Yeah.
think that, kids are tough because it's not about the goals that you have for them. It's about the habits you can get them to adopt.
Yes.
And access to it is if they have access to it, they'll always gravitate towards
Right.
the stuff that's not good. But you're right. You can take masa chips, for example,
Yeah.
which are non-GMO and
They're amazing.
grass-fed beef tallow, and you could make ground grass-fed beef, and you could
Right.
slice a couple of avocados. You
Yeah.
can put some onions on
Yeah.
there, and then some raw cheese,
Right.
and
You're doing the
you
same
got an
thing. You know what I mean?
unbelievable nacho. And I
Yeah.
promise you couldn't tell the difference between
Right.
the two.
I tell people, like, okay, if you are making tacos for dinner, well, now get the grass fed and finished beef, get a clean seasoning. You don't want silicon dioxide in your seasonings. Check
Mhm.
your spices.
Mhm.
This is an anti caking agent and it's not necessary. Otherwise, if you get a spice without that weird ingredient, you just have to maybe stick your fork in there and break it up. That's
Mhm.
naturally how food's supposed to act. And so here you are, you're giving them a better quality meat, you're giving them better spices, but maybe
Mhm.
you continue to give them the same tortillas and you get the clean tortillas. And it's like, it's not taking more time at this point. You're cooking the same meal. We're all eating together as a family. And they have a little bit better, they have better meat and better spices.
Yeah.
So it's a better meal. And this is how you slowly build it into their days.
And do you, cook with your kids? Do you,
Oh,
like, get
yeah.
them involved in how old are your kids?
So they are 11 and 13, two boys.
Okay.
And for a while, they were just like, Mom, we hate this is not
They're
normal.
probably not excited about your career
Right.
path, you
I
know?
mean, when all the kids are
We get
drinking,
Hershey's at my friend's house.
yes.
I mean
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Mom, my friend brought me to the gas station. They go in, they're like, I've never been to the gas station for food, but they're
Mm,
drinking Gatorades at sporting events and parties. And that's when I make sure, like, if you go there, let them drink it. Don't make a big deal out of it. But they know at home, like, we don't have that. And then they also start to notice, I feel bad when I drink that as they get
mm.
older. So, my son now, he's 13. When his friends come over, like, Miss Jen, I love all the food you cook. Please do this too.
Really? That's
Yeah. So
awesome.
the tides are turning.
I wanna talk about some of the, things that we should watch out for, like
Yes.
in breads, non-dairy milk. 'Cause I think there are a lot of these trends that catch on,
Hmm.
and sadly for the consumer, it'll be and I'm not beating up vegans or vegetarians, but it'll be a, like, non-meat trend, and the onus of this is if it's not meat, it's healthy,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So, just because it's not an animal product it's suddenly healthy, and then you
What
read,
is
like,
it?
the ingredients on, like,
Yeah.
a non-burger or some of these things, and you're like, this is
Yeah.
plastic." But, so what are some of the tricks to look out for in breads, non-dairy items?
Yeah. I
Because,
love
man,
this.
you can go to Starbucks right now, and there are,
Every
like, 15 alternatives
non-dairy milks. Yeah.
to
Yeah.
non-dairy
I
milks.
encourage people to be like, hey, can I see your milk? I'm always like, can I see what's inside of the milk? And I look. Okay.
Carrageenan and,
Oh my
yeah, all this
gosh,
stuff.
yes. So a couple things about this.
Start
First of
with
all,
bread.
let's start with
Yeah,
bread.
we'll go with
There's something
breads.
called potassium bromate, which
Mhm.
makes it rise. It's actually banned in Europe and other countries. Okay.
Shocker.
It's been shown, you can Google this yourself, that it can increase your risk of cancer.
Mm.
And so
Potassium bromide.
potassium bromate, I read that it's
Bromate.
like, I think it's in Hormel sandwiches, it's in your fast food restaurants, it's in
Mm,
some breads, which, by the way, there's a few bread companies that control all the breads. So whether
mm.
you think you're eating, Sara Lee or eating Oro wheat and Nature's Own, it's a lot of
Yeah.
the same people doing
Ah,
different things. So that's that. As far as your non-dairy milk goes, there's something called di-potassium phosphate. I know Nut Pods has it. I know Oatly
very
has it.
familiar.
And I want to tell people that, like, hey, if America's doing it, you're going to feel like America, right? America
You're gonna feel
feels
like America.
America is sick. They're bloated. They're tired. They are having health issues, and this is what they're doing. This is normalized. And the reason you are like, if you see a brand 7 times, you have recognition towards it, right? Why do you see Oatly on end caps? Why, when you go to the dairy free section, which, by the way, maybe your nutritionist or your dietitian or your doctor said go dairy free, you go to dairy free and you look around, and you think, wait a minute, there's like a million dairy frees. What am I going to get? You're going to get the one in the center at eye level, the one that has 7 columns, 3 rows. These companies pay money to be
Mm,
at eye level and to have more SKU numbers. You have to actually look at the very top of the very bottom for something like 3 trees that has 2 ingredients, or milk that has 3 ingredients, right? But they don't have the funds to get all these SKU numbers. But these non-dairy milks contain something called dipotassium phosphate, which is a
mm.
stabilizer, and it makes the milk kind of stay together as opposed to separating. So, kind of like when people use coffee made creamer,
Right.
it's nice and creamy, looks beautiful. But if you
Mhm.
put some almond milk in there with no additives, it kind of separates.
Yeah.
There's a solution for that, though. Either you can get a frother and froth it and put it on there, and it's not going to separate, or
Mhm.
just drink it with iced coffee.
Okay. So dipotassium phosphate.
Phosphate.
And what about protein bars,
Oh, yeah.
sauces?
Oh, yeah.
When I started getting wise to seed oils, I was absolutely dumbfounded
Hmm.
by the number of ingredients, nearly everything that's canned. It's hard to find a salad dressing in a
Yeah.
food store that's not seed oil based. And even if you take the position, which I would disagree with, but even if you take the position that, hey, these are polyunsaturated fats, they're not bad for you. There's some evidence that they're heart healthy. It's the volume
Or just try
that they're
it. Why
in,
don't you just
right?
try it? Just
Yeah.
try, if you're consuming it all the time and you think you feel so great. Okay, great. just try it.
Draw
Try to
your
go
attention, you're
without
saying.
it.
Oh, go without it.
Go
And
without it, and you'll see such a difference in such a short amount of time. But as far as protein bars go, I think a lot of people are turning to these protein bars for
Mhm.
like real sustainable protein when really they should be, you take it in a pinch because maybe you have to wait too long to get to your next meal. You need to get your protein from real sources.
I would agree.
Eggs, wild caught seafood, grass finished beef, all these other real foods, right?
Mhm.
But if you're in a pinch, what do? First of all, there's brands like Cliff Bar and Go Macro, and they contain something called brown rice syrup. Sounds really healthy,
Yeah.
right? But brown rice syrup has a glycemic index of 98, which is like almost the highest
Wow.
you can
That's
get.
actually
Yeah.
higher than table sugar.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what's happening is when you get this quick high, okay, this
Oh,
quick
that's higher than
yeah,
dextrose, I think, which is almost pure glucose.
this quick dose of are you going running? Probably not,
Yeah.
right? Are you going workout? Probably not. People are eating it at their desk or they're
Mhm.
eating it on a road trip, something like that. What happens is you crash real quick. The higher you go, the lower the crash. When the crash is low, what do you need? You need more food to bring it up. You need coffee, right? That's why there's
Mhm.
coffee on every freaking corner. We're
Mhm.
all so fatigued. That's like number one thing. People are fatigued. And it's because their blood sugar's all out of whack with these ingredients. So when you go look for the protein, go look for Bearded Brothers is a really great band.
Bearded Brothers.
Bearded Brothers. It's just real ingredients, but it's not going to have a source of protein like from whey or
Mhm.
from something like that. But it's at least going to get you till you can get real protein. And then I know
It's
you have a protein
convenience.
bar, which
Mhm.
I love, is great. Scans is clean, by the way,
It
Gary.
does. Yes.
Yes.
Ultimate Human Bar made it through. We were
Yes.
super intentional about that
I
with
think it's great.
body
That's
health. Mhm.
the way bars should be.
So, and I think a lot of again going back to this trend of vegan, vegetarian, non-meat or dairy-free,
Mhm.
gluten-free and vegan,
Mm.
um, those are largely recognized as healthy,
Yeah.
right? Because you're gluten-free, you're dairy-free, no animal products, vegan.
Mhm.
Those just they're like those alerts
Buzzwords.
that
Yeah.
that grab you and say this is what's inside is healthy, and they're probably hoping that you don't look much further than,
There for sure.
well, it's vegan. Oh,
Yeah.
it's gluten free.
Yeah.
Can we talk a little bit about how some of that labeling can be mislabeling and like what
Yeah.
might be hiding
Yeah. Well, it's
inside?
saying it's free. It's like, hey, we don't have dairy and we don't have sugar and we don't have animal products, but like
Yeah.
what do you have? That's not there. And do you know you're speaking of the ingredients being so small? Did you know that the nutrition facts label was created in 1994? Okay. And it's really big, right? The ingredients are tiny and it's really big. So it's a way to kind of disguise what's happening. Like they want you to read everything except for those ingredients.
Right.
And it's really, really wrong.
Let me tell you about something that's been a total game changer for my sleep and my stress levels. Bioptimizer's Magnesium Breakthrough. Here's the thing most people don't know. Regular magnesium supplements only give you 1 or 2 forms, but your body actually needs 7 different forms to function properly. That's why you might be taking magnesium and still feel tired or stressed or having trouble sleeping. Magnesium Breakthrough is the only supplement that combines all 7 bioavailable forms in just a single capsule. Within just a few days, I noticed I was falling asleep faster, staying asleep longer, and waking up actually more refreshed. Plus, my post-workout muscle recovery has been incredible. If you're ready to finally get the deep restorative sleep you deserve and feel more relaxed during the day, head to bioptimizers.com and use the code ULTIMATE to save on Magnesium Breakthrough. Trust me, your body will thank you. Now let's get back to the Ultimate Human podcast. So what are some of the ways that like gluten-free
Yeah. There's
ingredients
gluten-free
go wrong?
Oreos.
Good point.
Did you know that?
Yeah, good
Mic
point.
drop. No, I'm kidding.
Probably non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free
Yes.
Oreos.
And it's like,
How many other labels could we get on there? Low in fat, right?
oh,
Bioengineered. Yeah.
oh, wait, what about natural and simply? There's simply Cheetos. Come on.
I love that. Yeah, we were actually talking
Simply.
about I pulled one Sinister label out that I bought at the store for this purpose. We were looking at it and before we got on the podcast, and it was very intelligent. What did it say? Exotic,
Oh,
enriched exotics. I was like, well, that's a new one.
well, that'll bring you
I'm
to where
like,
you want to go. It
yeah,
sounds
I'm
like
that sounds amazing. And it had pictures of coconuts on it, all broken open and looking really fresh. And then it had the word gourmet, which means
Like a
nothing.
chef did it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly like a chef did it. And I won't say the brand, but it had gourmet on there and had pictures of coconuts, and then it said, these exotics. Um, and then it said all natural. And I'm like, what's all natural? That's another
Yeah.
one that's just like a
There's
catch all.
no real definition for all natural for simply there's no clear definition.
Yeah, and then we spun it around, had 45 grams of added sugar, and then, of course, there
Yeah.
comes the high fructose corn syrup and the food dyes and everything else. And, I really do think the average consumer nowadays just doesn't stand a chance, and I don't think
Mm-mm.
that even MAHA or MALA, Make America Local Again, is about interrupting people's freedom of choice, all right? It's
Absolutely
not it's
not.
not
Yeah.
like, "Hey, don't smoke, don't drink, don't eat McDonald's, don't eat donuts once in a while." It's just about giving you an informed choice, like giving you a shot
Giving you an option
at getting through the grocery store. So
for sure.
let's talk a little bit about eating out, because I have a very intense travel schedule,
Yeah.
and I'm extraordinarily conscious of what I eat on the road. Uh, but I also feel bad for a lot of consumers, and I'm not just talking about uh, consumers that are on a budget. I mean, even when you have means, we I go into some of these airport lounges, for example. I'm a member of Delta and United and American Airlines,
Yeah.
and I walk past. Sometimes I just go hungry. Um,
Same. It's best to fast, but not everybody can. They feel bad. They feel like they're going to pass out if they don't get food.
right. I mean, and
Yeah.
that's also their
Yeah.
incessant reliance on blood sugar.
Right.
They're insulin resistant, but um let's talk about just going into a restaurant
Hmm.
and ordering in a restaurant, and, basic parameters for how I can navigate, uh, the menu on a
Yes.
restaurant.
Yes. Okay. Got some tips.
Okay, good.
If you're going to look
I love
for a
these.
restaurant on like Yelp or Uber Eats, I always say just search organic food, number one, or maybe you could
Ooh,
do like paleo. That'll get your search narrow, right?
okay.
Then go look at their menu. Does their menu say things like vegan or gluten free or soy free? Then that means they're a little bit more conscious. But let's say that's not real life, Jen. It doesn't exist many places. We going to a regular restaurant. I did this last night at a restaurant. I said, "Hey, can you let me know what kind of oils you all use back there?" And so she comes out and she's like, "Okay, we have olive oil with a blend of canola oil." And I
Mm,
said, "Oh, well, I'm allergic to canola oil, but I
mm,
really want to eat here. Do you mind cooking my food in butter?" And it
mm.
doesn't matter. Their butter's not going to be grass fed. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be better than those
That's
oils.
great.
So that's number one,
And
right?
you get a lot of resistance on that, or most of the time they're like, "Okay,
No
chef's cool
problem.
with that."
No
Right.
problem. Or they have certain things where they'll just char grill where there is no oil. And I'll
Mm.
ask that, do you have anything not marinated in oil? And they'll let you know about that.
What if the chef knows there's no such thing as a true canola oil allergy? Or you still go with it,
well,
like
I say, well, most of the time I'm like, wait,
like,
it's
I am
yeah.
deathly allergic to canola oil. Like, I will die in your
Okay,
restaurant.
okay. No.
Okay.
So I will say, "Hey, I have a big event tomorrow and I just wanna feel good and look good." Right?
Okay.
And they're a little bit more understandable, but or you just say, "Hey," you don't even have to do the allergy thing, like, "Can you let me know what kind
No,
of
I
oil,"
love the
or
allergy
just
thing.
or just walk in and be like, Do you guys mind cooking this in butter instead of oil?" You don't
Mhm.
even need assume the worst. Assume
Yeah.
the oil's not
No,
good.
lest I die. That's a great one.
Yes.
It's like a real
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
good a nice little threat,
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
"Hey, you ever had
So
somebody die?"
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So before, what can you do? You can take some digestive enzymes.
Mhm.
You can also do charcoal pill. I do it all the time. Make
I do
sure
too.
you don't take your charcoal pill 4 hours before or after medications. But like if I go out to eat or I'm at a wedding or event
Mhm.
or something, try to make the best of the decisions, right? Can you
Yeah.
stay away from the gluten? Can you stay away from the dairy? Start looking at a menu as like a pantry.
Yeah.
Look at their sides. Do they have broccoli? Do they have sweet potato? Do they have regular potatoes? Do they
Mhm.
have all these things? Get those if your dish comes with pasta, right? Or
Right.
something like that. And then as far as your salads go, I always tell my clients they make these little extra virgin olive oil packets. They look like they come in like little ketchup packets. You can grab that on Amazon, put that in your purse.
Mm.
And then for your dressing, put that on your salad. And then you can ask them, do you have some type of vinegar? If they don't, just squeeze lemon. Another tip, if you go to sushi, can
Mm.
you get it cucumber wrapped? Can you get
Yeah.
it
I do that
rice
all the
paper
time.
wrapped? And then instead of doing the soy sauce, Do you have a trick for that? Because I
No.
do. This is going to
What?
change your life.
I love it.
You get you
This
get
is awesome. I
you
wanna get notes out. I'll probably
yeah,
watch this podcast
that's
when it's
okay.
done.
You get wasabi and you ask them, they have to bring you like 3 rounds of lemon slices,
Yeah.
but you squeeze your lemons in the wasabi and mix it up.
No.
Game changer for your
Come
sushi.
on. Wow.
It really
That's
is.
awesome.
Even my
Yeah, because
kids
the
are into
wasabi's
it.
like a little intense, but you're saying you take a lot of little
A
lemon
lot of
juice,
lemon with a little
mix
bit
it,
of wasabi,
and
mix
you
it, and
probably
that's
a
like
little goes a long way, right?
yes, it's your soy sauce swap. So I always tell people
Mm.
you don't have to eliminate foods or food groups. You have to swap it out for something cleaner and anti-inflammatory. So you can eat the foods you love and feel good.
So I've been tremendously supportive of the Maha movement,
I love.
and I think all of us love it. I think everyone in our industry loves it. I mean, again back to the chance for us to potentially affect public policy
Yeah.
is really exciting, right? I
Hmm.
mean, but this is definitely not going to happen overnight. I mean, there's
Right.
thousands and thousands of ingredients in foods and in our food supply.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not even listed on the label, like they don't list glyphosate on the
Well,
label.
also in a label, if it's less than 2% of total weight, it doesn't even go in.
Right.
There's like limestone in your cereal and they don't even tell you.
Yeah, and so I've often heard people say, and I talk about this a lot, that the dosage determines the poison. But the truth is, most of us are not taking a dose in a single serving that is enough to cause harm
Hmm.
in that serving. And but over time, especially with regard to forever chemicals or things that the body methylates and gets rid of very, very slowly,
Yeah.
there's an accumulation over time. So just drawing your awareness to it is one thing. But what do you think is the most promising outcome that you see underway with the Maha movement?
Hmm.
And where do you, if in a perfect world, where should that start?
Yeah. Okay.
Um, Love it.
Gonna unpack this one.
Okay, good.
Okay. First of all,
You're you're funny.
oh,
You're
well, thank
actually
you.
you're actually really
My
funny.
husband's funnier,
Is
so
he?
yeah, maybe that's where I get it from.
It is.
So, a couple things about this. Okay. The Maha movement is great, right?
Hmm?
Everybody's like, well, we're getting red dyes out. First of all, it's not going to happen, I think, to like 2028, which is scary.
Right.
Um,
I actually was in the ICU unit of Mayo Hospital,
uh-huh.
oncology ICU. I have a friend that was there, unfortunately, in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I actually looked at the Jello and it was red dye number 3, and I was like,
Yeah.
"This just got banned."
Yeah.
And he had a Seagram soda, and he had pureed applesauce.
Yeah.
My wife posted about it, and people lit up about it
Yeah.
because
You're sick
to
and you're
their
eating
credit, they
this.
saved his life. He was septic, but and I was like, "There's just no nutrition in this."
I
But
know.
anyway, I didn't
It's
mean to
not
cut you off.
supportive. That's okay. So the Maha movement is great. I have to say, like, I'm pretty sure big media has been controlling the narrative for so long with
Mm,
sponsors. Like, I've hired PR firms and I get interviewed by Oprah Daily and Town and Country and all these magazines, and they immediately hear that I say you can't drink Oatly or you shouldn't be buying this particular ketchup. And they're like, we can't put you on. Right.
mhm,
So I think that this whole turning tide of where people are getting their media and they're getting it from people like you who are
mhm,
doing really good things in this grassroots way, and it's making people start to talk, and they're like, hey, something that we've had blinders on for so long, these food labels, they've been disguising what's really inside. So people are waking up. They're having
mhm,
wake up moments. And I feel like once you see what's going on with the food, you can't unsee it.
mhm,
You can't forget about it. So I
mhm,
think that's great. But I think the best place for the Maha to really get started and really get traction is to make America local again. Look up
mm.
your farmer's market, get to know your farmer. They're around
Love
you.
that.
Otherwise, there are farmers out there who are doing shipping and they're going to be higher quality. They're going to help a lot of deficiencies that are coming from a lot of our conventional food that we're being fed. And there's actually one guy, his name's Farmer Lee Jones. He's out in
Farmer
Ohio.
Lee
Oh,
Jones.
he's great. He's a big, jolly guy, wears the bow tie, red bow tie,
Okay.
all the things. But he does like regenerative crops, vegetables,
Mm.
but he gets his stuff third party tested and has like 200 to 300 times more nutrition in the vegetables and greens. And when it shows up at your house,
Really? Does he do the
it's
microgreens?
amazing. I'm pretty sure he
Okay.
does.
'Cause
He
I've
does
been
it
down the rabbit
all.
hole of
Oh,
microgreens
you gotta look 'em
lately
up.
and the density of
It's called
those.
the chef's garden because he supplies the greens and the vegetables for, like, the Ritz, St. Regis, Four Seasons, but he just started doing it to consumers, and I
Mhm.
just found him on the internet, and he has all the finest chefs around the world coming to him. I was like, "Wow, this is a
And he
gem."
grows produce and
Yes.
meats.
Not meats,
Not
just
meats,
produce.
just produce. Wow.
Yes, but
I
that's your
wonder how
produce
he's doing
guy.
it.
It's like
Yeah.
there's these things you need to start talking and get to know your farmers. You're gonna get more nutrition. It's not gonna have the pesticides, and it's just gonna be so much better for you.
By the way, all of these I'm gonna link into the show notes, guys. My media team's paying attention. So if there were tips and tricks in here that you liked, I'll make sure that or we make a reference to her app or something like that. I'll make sure that I put it into the show notes. So back to the labeling. I mean, for the average consumer, what are some of the biggest that you see deceptive marketing practices? We did a funny exercise on Super Bowl with my family,
Mhm.
and we all watched the Super Bowl together. And we were watching the Super Bowl ads. I mean, first of all, there's not a single ad for a single healthy food. There was not a single whole food
Is
on
it crazy?
any of the ads.
Mhm.
Um, and I watched, like you said, celebrities, athletes, A-listers, cartoons, jingles, choruses. One had a biblical choir
Yeah.
singing like the
So
jingle.
crazy.
I was like, this is
It's like, "What's
unbelievable.
happening?"
Like you were literally in church,
Yeah.
then they were singing to you about their snack food. And I think a lot of this gets ingrained into our culture.
It's
Like
normalized.
food says a little bit about who you are. Like Nike, just do it. I wear Nikes,
Yeah.
and I don't have any issue with Nike, but it like fashion says a little bit of who we are. I carry a Louis Vuitton versus I carry a Christian Dior. It
Yeah.
says a little bit about who you are. It seemed to me like a lot of these ads were designed to sensationalize these foods. Like, if you're going to a party,
Mhm.
expect to see this.
Mhm.
These are the best. These are the tastiest. And so it's coming from so many angles. It's being engineered chemically to stimulate our dopamine and to avoid satiety. They're being engineered to be hyper palpable, so our kids love it. They're being engineered to actually change, and I've had a lot of physicians, even scientists on here that have talked about how the actual palate of someone that eats a highly processed diet, it actually changes.
Mhm.
You enjoy and respond to the
Those
chemicals,
hits. Yeah.
and you switch to a whole food diet, and meat doesn't taste like food.
Yeah.
Spinach doesn't taste like spinach. So what are some of the biggest, more deceptive practices in your um, opinion that consumer needs to be
Yeah.
aware
So
of?
I heard you mention that advertising. I read today that like $14 billion is spent on food advertising, and 80% of it is to targeted audiences like
Totally agree.
kids, things like that. I have a good story. This guy named Parker, he does Lovebird cereal. Have you heard of
Mm,
him?
I have. I think I have Lovebird.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah.
Lovebird's great. So he was on my podcast many years ago, but he used to work for Big Food and he was in the marketing department. And he remembers he was struggling with autoimmune and so was his kid. And he's like, one day I went to work and this guy rushes into this boardroom and he's like, "You guys, I got a great idea. I know how we're going to sell more units. We're going to slap a mermaid on it." And he's like, "Wait, what is going on? I can't be a part of this, you know?" Because
Mm.
he had a little baby and he didn't want to see that. So he's doing something
This
different
like
where
appeal to little girls or to,
yes.
yeah.
Yes, or he said one time they were taste testing pizza rolls and the guys or girls, whoever's in charge of this says, "You guys, we cut 30% of our cost by not using real cheese. We got a flavor that tastes like cheese." And he's like, "What are we doing?
Yeah. Like
Why are
what?
we not using cheese? You guys mind blown." So he's going against the grain. All of his ingredients are listed on the front. It's all organic, glyphosate free.
Mm.
The whole it's like top of the line food. But deceptive marketing, like we said, I mean, they got simply, you got natural, you got non-GMO, you got
Mhm.
gluten-free, you got organic, and these are like, for example, Dana and Light and Fit yogurt. It's
Oh
light
my
and
gosh.
fit, and it says 0 grams of sugar. There's so many ladies out
Light
there.
and fit.
Yes.
Oh my God, that's so like,
Ugh,
that's so mean because who doesn't want to be light and fit?
who
Especially
doesn't?
women. I want to be light and fit if
Heck
I'm a
yeah, I
woman.
still wanna I eat good, and I still wanna be more light and fit, you know? I need to drink more hydrogen water.
Yeah, you do.
So with that being said, though, it has sucralose in it. There's a popular energy drink out
Hmm.
there, sucralose in it. Sucralose is a sugar that is reacted with chlorine. Okay, and there's studies out there that show, in animal studies, that it increase your risk for leukemia and blood cancers. And it's
Hmm.
like, why are we not eating just yogurt? Like, shouldn't yogurt be just
Right.
some grass-fed milk and then some probiotics, which
Yeah.
there's another guy, his name's Coconut Cult Noah. He's really great. Have you heard of them?
Coconut cult.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
He's great. So
Okay.
he went around to a bunch of yogurt companies to figure out, like, how do they bottle it? How do they process it? All these things. And he figured out that the yogurts say billions of probiotics, when in fact, most of these probiotics are actually dead because
Hmm.
they apply high heat after they put the
So
probiotics
true.
in there. And it's like, this is fake food. It's not
Yeah.
even working for you.
Most food dyes are
Yeah.
antimicrobial. And so if the trace amounts of probiotics that are in there
Yeah.
are absolutely killed
Yeah.
uh by the dyes. The
Right.
dyes are, bacteria are, I mean, probiotics are bacteria.
Mm-hmm.
And an antimicrobial kills the bacteria. Listen, there's what I share on this podcast, and then there's what I share with my inner circle. If you've been following me for a while, you know how I hold nothing back here. But my VIP community, that's where the real magic happens. Picture this. You're struggling with energy crashes, brain fog, or just feeling like you're not operating at your peak and you don't know where to get real answers. But here's what really sets this apart. You're not just getting my insights. When I have incredible guests on the podcast, VIP members get to submit questions for a private podcast segment. So that world-renowned expert we just interviewed, you get exclusive access to their knowledge tailored to your specific situation. This section is under the private podcast section in the Ultimate Human community. And speaking of exclusive, you're getting my personal protocols, the exact tools I use for water fasting, gut optimization, and morning routines that have taken me decades to perfect. This isn't theory. This is what works in the real world. The community launches challenges throughout the year where you get direct access to me and my network of experts. It's like having a personal health advisory board for less than $100 a month. Your health is your wealth, and this investment pays dividends for life. Join the VIP community at theultimatehuman.com/VIP and step into your ultimate potential. Now let's get back to the Ultimate Human podcast.
This is why you need to start talking to people, though, because most people, they see a yogurt, they don't understand the processing, right? You
Mm-hmm.
see your oils, you don't know what kind of solvents are being used, your
Mm-hmm.
stevia. You don't realize that there's petroleum-based solvents being used to extract that, and it's coming out and it's messing up your gut. And when your gut microbiome gets messed up, it leads to inflammation, and then you got a whole host of
Yeah.
chronic
I talk
issues
about this
happening.
all the time, how
Yeah.
one thing causes everything.
Yes.
Usually people don't have multiple things going wrong. They have one major thing going wrong. It's kind of like the dominoes that
Yeah.
causes everything. So let's go down the artificial sweetener route for a
Yeah.
moment,
Yeah.
because I think, advertising kind of falls into two camps.
Yes.
One is glorifying natural sugars, right?
Mhm.
So cane sugar is saying, hey, they actually put forward on the label, this is cane sugar.
Yeah.
And that's why you should eat this.
Yeah.
And others are sugar-free, no sugar
Sugar-free.
added.
Yeah.
Because, they're playing with, both sides of the coin. The people that like, okay, I want it to be organic. Okay, if it's cane sugar, it's natural. So I'm going to grab this one.
Mhm.
Or I'm trying to avoid sugar and eat low carb. And so I'm going to add the sugar-free or no sugar added. There are different levels to the artificial. I know my opinion is, but the different levels to this artificial sugar pyramid, whatever you want
Yeah,
to call
yeah,
it.
yeah.
What are some of the no-fly zones? Like,
Yeah.
what are some of the sugar substitutes to absolutely avoid?
Absolutely avoid. So I would say dextrose is number
Mhm.
one, which, by the way, can be found in your Costco chicken.
Mhm.
And we can go down that rabbit hole because I
Yeah.
made a post
I mean,
once.
dextrose is glucose, right? I mean, right?
Dextrose is made from corn,
Okay.
which is a highly GMO crop.
Okay.
Okay. So you want to make sure that you're avoiding that. Another one is asulfame potassium,
Mhm.
sold as like ACAK, something like that.
Yeah. Aspartame.
You've got it. I tell anybody, or I tell people, if it ends with
Aspartame.
OSE,
Mhm.
avoid it. So
Okay.
dextrose, sucralose, sucrose is one,
Mhm.
the acesulfame potassium. Those are like the ones you're going to see the most of. But I actually got this guy, Dr. Michael Gorin. He studied the effects of sugar mostly on kids for 20
Mhm.
years. I'm like, thank you for sitting in a lab for 20 years and studying this because I don't have the patience
Wow.
for that. But he said there's over 60 names for artificial sweeteners. So another one's brown rice syrup. It sounds really healthy,
Yeah.
but it's not. And so these are ways to like spot on a label, just put it back, right?
So
Find
aspartame, sucralose,
acesulfame, potassium,
aspartame,
dextrose,
potassium,
brown
obviously.
rice syrup.
Yeah, and because I think a lot of I remember Sweet and Low, which was you still see
Yeah,
everywhere. These are just chemical sweeteners. So now on the better side, because there's no harm in having a little bit of a sweet tooth, right? Or wanting
right.
something that tastes sweet. So where do you gravitate on some of the, like low glycemic
Yeah.
sweet
Yeah.
substitutes?
So I love, well, unrefined, right? So it's going to
Mhm.
have more vitamins and nutrients and minerals in it. So I use maple syrup for my kids' waffles.
Mhm.
I also love coconut sugar. It's unrefined. It's a great one
I
on
use
one
a lot of maple
swap.
syrup too. I
Yep.
get it from South Florida ranches.
Yep.
So maple
There's
syrup.
date syrup in your
Ooh,
coffee. So good. It's called like Date Lady, something like that.
really?
Yes.
Okay.
So good. Date
A
syrup,
lot of brands getting some love today.
date sugar,
Date lady.
maple sugar. And then for low glycemic, I love non-GMO monk fruit.
Okay, I like the non-GMO monk fruit
I
too.
think
I
that's
mean,
in your bar, right?
yeah,
There you
yeah,
go.
I use the
That's
non-GMO
why.
monk fruit in my bar, and I also when I do some of the swaps, and I'm going to put a link to your manual on swaps. The interesting thing about if you can try to eat home more often,
Yeah.
I found is it can often be less expensive to
Oh,
eat
yeah.
organic and less expensive to eat whole foods
Yeah.
once you learn how to navigate this. And people think it's like overwhelming, and it's this lifelong education. But once you understand the food labeling
Mhm.
and you have your favorite products in the grocery store, you can just keep going back and buying
Yeah.
those over and over
Yeah.
again.
You
So maybe it's a little bit of a curve in the beginning,
Mhm.
but it's not like it's overwhelming and onerous forever.
Yeah. I wanna bring this people are gonna love this because did you know that Costco sells 2,000,000 chickens a week?
2,000,000 chickens a week?
2,000,000
Are
chickens,
those
like
the rotisserie
yes.
ones in
It
the
is like the magnet that gets people in there. It's a low price.
yeah.
Chicken should be what? Chicken, right?
Yes.
I was waiting for that,
I
Gary.
thought it was a trick
This
question,
is
but,
not a trick
yes,
question.
it should be chicken.
Okay.
Um,
Chicken, maybe salt, maybe herbs. And if you go to Whole Foods and you get chicken, it's just chicken and salt.
right.
Okay. Costco's chicken has carrageenan in it. It has dextrose in it. It has sodium phosphate, which is an additive that's been shown to induce aging. And it's like, why is this? First of all, what is this chicken eating? You are what your chicken eats. You are
Mhm.
what your cow eats.
A lot of them are injected though, too.
Yes.
Mhm.
And then I got a video once of them putting this just blazing chicken, steam and smoke coming off in this plastic bag. I'm like, no, but
Mm.
anyway, what I want to tell people is like there is a food swap. It's not going to take you more time. So instead of getting the chicken with all the additives in it, you get just chicken and salt. And guess what? When you have your chicken salad, your chicken wrap, or your chicken sandwich, whatever, you're going to stay fuller longer. You're not going to need that energy drink. You're not going to need a second cup of coffee. You're not going to need a snack. You can actually like wait till dinner and stay fuller
Right.
longer. So that is really how you save money. You take less medication when
Yeah.
aren't having all these ailments and these pains and you're taking less time off of work. Now you're high performing because you feel good and maybe you get a promotion. Maybe your relationships get better. Like
Right.
the list goes on.
Yeah, I mean, inflammation truly is the root of all evil, and I don't
Yeah.
really believe that people are fully aware of this low-grade inflammatory
Yeah.
complex that happens in the body, brain fog,
Brain
weight
fog.
gain, water retention, poor focus and concentration, low waking
Hmm.
energy, even hormonal disruption. A lot of this is directly related to the chemical additives and ingredients, but it's also related to this downstream inflammatory cascade
Yes.
that is just basically bringing ailments
Hmm.
from your future and drawing them
Closer.
into closer.
Yeah.
We are borrowing from our future,
Mm.
and I think that we talked a little bit about this too. When you're young enough, I mean, you can't be killed by a bullet, right? So because your metabolism works
Yeah.
well, your methylation works well, your immune system's not overwhelmed. These inflammatory cascades, in many cases, have not brought you
Right.
to the brink of disaster. But as we move through life, and most of our friends are in their 30s because we're in our 30s. Most of our friends are in their 40s, or most of them are in their 50s, or most of them are in their 60s. You move through life at the same stage,
Mhm.
and it's like, well, all my buddies are on high blood pressure medication, and we're all taking methotrexate for joint pain. And four of the five of us have arthritis, and we all wear readers.
Yeah.
And we're all bald, and it's like,
It
and so
becomes acceptable.
it
It's
just becomes
normalized.
it's normalized, and what we've
Normalized.
normalized
Sickness.
is the sickness.
Yeah.
And
Mind blowing.
um, I hate to say this, and I hope that people in my high school are not watching this. You know, so I went to high school in Southern Maryland. I'm gonna be really cautious about what I'm saying because and some of you guys are still my buddies. I'm not talking to you. Um, but I went to my high school reunion.
Scary.
I thought it was in a room with some aliens. Um,
I was gonna say
because
some
I
really old
remember
people. They
I'm
just
not
looked
gonna say
older,
his name,
right?
but you know who you are. Um, this this kid that was like 2 farms away from me, he beat me up in 8th grade, and I still remember it.
Oh,
And I came face to face with him at our like 25-year reunion. I was like, man, we should run this back. Like it's like, I was on his deathbed, but that area that I came from was very much like, middle America. I grew up on a farm in Southern Maryland, and we just didn't eat well. And
yeah.
and I see the consequences of that. But it was so normalized again because everybody was in that same group.
Mhm.
Um, and I think we need to normalize like movement and sunlight and hormetic stress and reading food
Yeah.
labels and
Normalize real food again.
normalize real food again.
Yeah.
Are there any tips that people can garner to maybe eat more local food? I mean, when we say eat local, how do you eat local if you go to, I mean, I have a grocery store that's local, but I don't
Right.
know where they're getting that stuff.
Right.
So how do I do it?
That's a good question. We're here to solve that problem.
Okay, good.
So what I tell people is just type into Google farmers market near me. Go talk to your farmer. A lot of times they can deliver this stuff to your door. Otherwise, if you're gonna look for, meats or eggs or something like that at the grocery, you gotta actually like read, you gotta look
Hmm.
on the label and see where it's coming from. Odds are it's not gonna be local here in
Hmm.
America at most of our grocery stores, which by the way, in the 1990s, there were 7,000 approximately 7,000 food items on the shelves. And today, there's at the average supermarket, 56,000
There's
food items.
56,000.
Yes,
So
which is
they're not
crazy.
inventing new foods, right?
Right?
Like, is there a new broccoli or a new
This is
Brussels sprout?
insane.
Yeah.
This
No,
is
that's
crazy.
that's that's
Yeah. But
absolutely
but you
incredible.
gotta get local. And I mean, I know you're gonna ask me how to be the ultimate human or what it means to
Oh,
be
it's
the
coming.
yeah, and so I
That's the
wanna
last
save it.
question.
I wanna save it.
See,
But
you read it, you watched ahead.
this is
Yeah.
what people need to do in order to feel better. And when you
Yeah.
feel better, you'll look better. When
Mm.
you look better, everything's gonna be better for
What was
you.
it? Skinny and fit? What was the
Light and fit.
light and fit? You'll be light
Yeah.
and fit.
You can
Yeah.
yes.
But like the natural way, not through eating preservatives. Jen,
Right.
what's got you really excited right now
Yeah.
about your mission, your purpose? I mean, we both share a humility and a gratitude for the people that come to us
Yes.
and thank us for,
Yeah.
our message. And there's nothing better than meeting somebody. You were just talking about it in my wife's closet on while we were walking around the house.
Yeah.
But just how amazing it is to meet people in public and they go, "Oh my God, Jen, you changed my life."
Yeah. It's
And
amazing.
so, what's got you really excited
Yeah.
about your future?
Yeah. What's got me so excited is that like I'm sitting here talking to you about this because when I started this helping people 6 years ago, it was like no one was talking about it. I
Hmm.
didn't see it all over social media and now I'm seeing it. So it's like this idea is becoming alive and
Hmm.
we're seeing, these bigger brands are buying out these smaller ethical brands. Like for example, Pepsi just bought Siete and while Siete isn't, meat or fish or vegetables or fruit, which is the ultimate way to be,
Right.
we're eating mostly processed foods, but these foods are getting less preservatives and less poisonous. And so
Mhm.
we're seeing more of those pop up on the shelves and people are talking about it more. So I think that's really exciting. And then another thing is like, I was pulling my hair out trying to help so many people in the beginning. Like I
Mhm.
had groups of 60 women, 5 groups. I'm meeting them. They're texting me on my phone and I'm up all hours of the night. My husband's taking care of the kids full time. And like my health is almost going down because I'm
Right.
helping so many people, right? I'm
Right.
not cooking. But when I developed those groups, somebody told me, Jen, make an online course, make an online course. And I
Mm.
did that. And that again helps so many people. But nobody wants to read an online course. Nobody has time to do an online course.
Right.
They want easy, accessible. And so we've created this app called Read the Labels app. And I'm so excited that this can actually be me in people's back pocket, showing them eat these foods. It's going to lower your inflammation. You're going to feel a difference
Mhm.
immediately. And so giving that accessibility to so many people has really got me like fired up about this.
Amazing. That's so awesome,
Yeah,
Jen. Well, my VIP community knew you were coming on board, so we're actually going to go into a private room in a minute with my VIP community
great.
because they have a lot of questions for you. They
Let's do
love
it.
you. They've got a lot of questions for you. If you're interested in becoming an Ultimate Human VIP, just go over to theultimatehuman.com/VIP. Sign up to be one of my VIP guests. This is where I pour myself into this community. You get to have private podcasts with guests like Jen. And we do live Q and A's. There, I put my course in there as well for my VIP community. Um, but and for the rest of us, I always end my podcast by
Yes.
asking my guests the same question. You knew it was coming.
What
Um,
makes me an ultimate human?
what does it mean to you
What does
to
it
be an
mean
ultimate
to
human?
me? Okay. So
We
I
know it makes you an ultimate human. You're like saving lives with food labeling. Like
okay. So Gary, I almost want to cry when I think of this, but I feel like the lost art in most people's lives and homes is the art of cooking,
Hmm.
just cooking a meal, right? And so cooking a meal every night for my children and my husband, I feel like means ultimate human. And when we sit down every night, we say highs and lows. We tell
Oh,
the
I
kids,
do that. My
what was your
daughter
school best?
Madison loves that.
Yes. School best and personal best. And it's a
Hmm.
great way to just, you have to check in. We're sitting around. And of course, my kids, they have to set the table. They clean up the dishes. Probably that only happens once a week, but we're hopeful. But I feel like I'm doing this little bit for my unit. And
Mm.
so if people listening can do this little bit for their unit, it'll just tenfold for you.
That is amazing. So, Jen, for my audience that wants to find you, how do they find you on
Yeah.
social media?
So I'm all over at Wake Up and Read the Labels on Instagram, YouTube, podcast. Also, I send a weekly recipe, an
Hmm.
anti-inflammatory recipe, and all the sweets. Yes, there are sweets or sweet
Sweets,
swaps.
sweet
So
swaps,
yes, you could go to
light and fit.
yeah. We're gonna write one about that.
We
But
are.
yes, every week I send a recipe. So you can go to
Okay.
thelabelletter.com and I just kind of talk about swaps in there as well. Also, we have an app where you can scan an item and see instantly if it's
Very cool.
clean or not clean.
Hmm.
And it'll even dive into the ingredients, why they would be inflammatory. So you go to your app store or in Google Android, just search read the labels.
Read the labels.
And you
Amazing,
can
Jen.
use the code Gary.
I have a code.
Yeah, you do. I wanna say,
Awesome.
it's 10% off for people? Yeah, there you go. They'll
Awesome.
save 10%.
Just by knowing me. That
Gary's
is
your guy.
amazing. Jen Smiley, thank you so much for coming on the Ultimate Human podcast. We're definitely going to follow your journey. And until next time, guys, that's just science.